This is Brendan Davis from Bedrock Games and the Bedrock blog, and today I'm going to be reviewing a movie called Bloody Parrot. This is a 1981 Shaw Brothers release. It was directed by Shan. I've been pretty excited about this one for a while. I just watched it the other night. I had heard about it, and I ended up getting it on VCD because I couldn't find it in DVD or Blu-ray. So just a heads up, if you do get it in VCD, a lot of times the VCDs will play in regular Blu-ray or DVD players, but sometimes you need a special player to play them, or you have to play it on a computer. And they do tend to be a little bit on the pixely side, so they're not as perfect as a DVD, say. But your eyes will adjust, and if you just watch it for a few moments, you'll adapt to the pixelation. So I watched it and I thought it was fine. This is a early '80s Shaw Brothers movie, so if you're not familiar with that period, Shaw Brothers films at that time were very experimental. They used a lot of gore, a lot of nudity, a lot of zany and over the top elements. And here I'm talking about their wuxia movies, not just about their general release films. So the wuxia movies from the early '80s just tended to be a little different than some of the things that came before. One of the things that results in is some unexpected surprises, films that maybe uh, you know don't really blend in with all the other ones that came before them. So I think it's in some cases it's very good. You get some unique films out of it, and the end result is a lot of them end up feeling sort of like a blend of Hammer Studios and Shaw Brothers sort of working together. And in fact, there is a movie. Where the studios did work together. So I think the combination is a somewhat natural one. Now this movie is I thought it was really good. I was a little bit nervous watching it because when I went online, it looked like it might be like a bad movie or a good bad movie or just too crazy to enjoy. This is the kind of film where it has a lot of gore, it has a lot of nudity, it has a lot of horror elements, but all of the excessive, sort of sensational stuff is really there to enhance the atmosphere of the movie and to either unnerve the viewer, to draw the viewer in, to just it really works. They're definitely trying to draw in an audience, but they're using all those elements effectively. I think so. I thought it was a good movie. As a fan of horror, as a fan of wuxia, for me it worked. I grew up on Hammer Studios movies as a kid, so I like that kind of stuff, and I think that this is a really good example of how you can blend those two genres pretty smoothly. The storyline's a little bit tricky to follow. It I had to watch it twice just to kind of catch all the details, especially because the dialogue, the story can turn on a single line of text. So the subtitles are very quick. Sometimes there's a couple of instances where they flash on the screen and disappear, and it's maddening because oftentimes it's very important lines that are being said when that occurs. So I do recommend watching it twice. The first time, maybe focus on the action, on the atmosphere, on just kind of enjoying the unfolding of the plot, but maybe not worry too much about, oh, who is so and why is he there. Um, the basic premise is that there's a hero named Fung, and he's following the trail of some missing treasure that belongs to the emperor, and it ends up vanishing from the residence of a prince, and the prince mysteriously dies. So he goes there. He encounters a local constable who's also looking into the matter, and the two team up. Eventually, the constable is killed by this creature called the Bloody Parrot, that seems to be some sort of entity produced by an evil cult that is working for the Devil King or the Demon King. And so Ting Fung takes the body of the constable, puts him in a coffin, and takes him to the border while he's conducting the rest of his investigation. And he eventually comes to a place called the Parrot Brothel, where he meets a woman named Janu, and I might be pronouncing that incorrectly. And she's a courtesan of the brothel, and they kind of fall in love, and then he ends up facing off against an evil cult. And I don't want to spoil the rest, but it's a really great sort of mystery adventure. It's got elements of classic wuxia, of Hammer Studios horror. It's even got traces of Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 in it. This came before that, I think, but there's a key scene in the movie that just really reminded me of the Evil Dead series. So it's kind of got that vibe where it's that line where you have horror and humor almost working together to be more horrifying. So I thought it was effective, and I definitely was thinking of Evil Dead as I watched some of the sequences. The fight scenes are really good. I was very surprised by how good they were, because I hadn't heard anybody really comment on the action sequences in this movie, and so maybe that's just because I wasn't looking hard enough. But the fight scenes were great. There's a really wonderful one between a long sword and a gentleman's sword. So the hero has a gentleman's sword, and there's another character who's wielding this really long blade, and they just make great use of that long blade. It's you see it come on screen, and you wonder how they're going to use it, and it's very effective. There's a nice blend of some acrobatics, of really swift, explosive punching and kicking, and the sword play is very well staged and executed. It all looks great. Another sequence that really stood out for me, there's a character named Hong Yu, who is the courtesan's sort of like maid and really her bodyguard. She uses a sewing needle and threatens to turn her enemy's skin into a skirt. So when they encounter her for the first time, she's sort of embroidering, and you can see that the thing she's making is from she took somebody's face and started weaving on it. So she's an interesting character right from the beginning, and the woman who plays her, I think it's Jing-Jing. Yeah, Jing-Jing is excellent. She does a great job. I'd say most of the actors in this did an excellent job when it came to the physical performances. They really picked people that were great on screen. One of my favorite characters was Madame Song. Now, this is played by Theresa Ha Ping. If you've ever seen my review of Magic Blade, there's a character in that movie called Devil Grandma. It's the same actress, and she's playing a very similar character. Madame Song is a kind of witch who's working for one of the big villains and is trying to thwart the hero. And she just has these hysterical scenes where she'll do things like she'll start praying to the Demon King and asking him to unleash death on the hero, and basically distracting him with her voice. And then when she bows down, somebody fires some darts at him from behind. She's right up there with Devil Grandma, and Theresa Ha Ping has been in a lot of things, and she's very good. I love these sort of older, more wily characters like this. They I don't know. There's something amusing and very I don't know, just very very funny about the way that they bring these characters out. And Madame Song's she's very quickly became one of my favorites. So this was a very, I thought, a very good movie. I think that I wasn't expecting much, so that might have been part of it. My expectations were very low, but I felt like it gave me a really great evening of horror, action, adventure. There were even like some almost Indiana Jones type elements in it, and there's all these little things going on with the plot. You never really know, is this really like a supernatural creature, this bloody parrot? Is this really a cult that's got supernatural powers, or is there a mundane explanation for all this? And they do a great job of making you wonder that through the whole movie, and you don't really find out until the end. And because this is like an early '80s Shaw Brothers film, it really could go either way. It's not like oh well, they're ultimately going to have a mundane explanation. You really don't have any idea, and there's all kinds of just little, I don't know, interesting details in this movie. So the finale is great. It's really wild. There's a cannibal child. There's cobras. There's like an underground mirror maze. There's all kinds of stuff. And as I said before, this is a film that has a lot of nudity, a lot of gore. The nudity, I think, it rivals Journey of the Doomed, which I reviewed as well. I think the nudity, though, is used better here, but there's definitely probably an equal amount of that. There's an equal amount of gore to, say, a film like Human Lanterns. So, I mean, there's a scene where there's a kid chewing on some guy's bone. There's an autopsy scene that almost reminded me of Andy Warhol's Frankenstein. It's that graphic. And again, though, I think they're using these elements to unnerve you and to draw you in, and to it's all effective. It's not, I mean, they're there. It's there to get people into the theater, I'm sure, but they make very good use of it. So this was a very solid film in my opinion, quite a surprise, and again, I think for me this is up there with Holy Flame and The Martial World. It's one of these movies where maybe because they're trying so many different things, it just created this gem. Now I do have to say the image quality on this one isn't that great. So it's one of these films where maybe you have to use a little bit of your imagination. It doesn't look as as smooth and pristine as some of the other Shaw Brothers releases that have been put out on DVD and Blu-ray and remastered. I mean, it's not bad, but because it's a VCD, at least in my case, it was it wasn't as clear as maybe it was meant to be. So yeah, so again, the movie is Bloody Parrot. Caution. It does have lots of blood, lots of nudity. So you should know that going in. But it's a good movie. It's a very good movie, and there's just a lot of great performances in it. And while I didn't watch it twice because I immediately felt that I needed to, I watched it twice mainly just to make sure I understood all the plot. The it was not unpleasant to watch again. It was a very easy second viewing movie. I think that it's a movie I'll probably watch again. Maybe not tomorrow, but down the road I'll probably give it another view. It's just a very solid wuxia horror movie with an interesting mystery and compelling characters. So I recommend it, and I will try to post some links to it in below. So all right, until then, I will talk to you later.